Hello everybody, welcome to this session on GST. Today we will be discussing about input service distributors under GST. Who is an input service distributor? Many of you might be familiar with this term in the current service tax regime. To put it simply, an organization having different units spread across the country can register as an input service distributor and distribute the input services pertaining to the other branches. Under GST, the similar concept is carried forward. Under GST, an input service distributor is an office or unit of a taxable person engaged in supply of goods or services which has received services and distributes the tax credit on the services to its branches or business verticals registered under the same PAN. For example, Brad Cars has its head office in Delhi and branches in Rajasthan and UP. The UP branch receives advertisement services from a supplier who sends the invoice for the advertisement charges to the head office in Delhi. As an input service distributor, the HO distributes the input credit of GST on the advertisement expenses to the branch in UP. A person must take a separate registration as an input service distributor to be able to distribute input credit on services to other units or offices. Let us now see the manner in which an input service distributor can distribute input credit among its units or branches called as recipients of credit. First, we'll see how an input service distributor can distribute credit to a business vertical in the same state. CGST credit must be distributed as CGST credit. IGST credit should be distributed as IGST credit. SGST or UTGST credit should be distributed as SGST or UTGST credit. Let's now see the manner of distribution of credit when the input service distributor and the recipient of credit are in different states. CGST credit should be distributed as IGST credit. IGST credit should be distributed as IGST credit. SGST or UTGST credit should also be distributed as IGST credit. So, irrespective of the type of credit, when the recipient of credit is in a different state, an input service distributor should distribute the credit as IGST credit. Let us now see the conditions to be kept in mind by an input service distributor when distributing credit. While distributing credit, an input service distributor must issue a tax invoice to the recipient of credit. The tax invoice issued must contain name, address and GSTIN of the input service distributor, a consecutive serial number containing only alphabets and or numerals and must be unique for a financial year, date of issue of the tax invoice, name, address and GSTIN of the original supplier of service, the credit of which is being distributed, and the serial number and date of the invoice issued by that supplier. Name, address and GSTIN of the recipient of credit, amount of credit distributed, and signature or digital signature of the supplier or his authorized representative. The credit available for distribution should be distributed in the same month in which it is available. The amount of credit distributed must not exceed the amount of credit available for distribution. In our previous example, let us assume that the advertisement service was incurred for value of rupees 25,000. Assuming GST at the rate of 18% on the advertisement service, input credit of rupees 4,500 is to be distributed to the UP branch. The input service distributor must ensure that the amount distributed must not exceed this amount. The credit should be distributed only to the recipient to which it is attributable. In our example, the input credit must be distributed to the UP branch only, as only the UP branch has used the advertisement service. If the credit is attributable to more than one recipient, it should be distributed on pro rata basis of the turnover in a state in the previous year. If any or all the recipients do not have turnover in the previous year, then turnover in the quarter before the month in which ITC is distributed must be considered. Let us see an example to understand this. A home appliances company is located in Bangalore. It has input tax credit of rupees 90,000 to be distributed. The recipients of credit are in Mysore and Chennai. The aggregate turnover of the Mysore unit in the previous financial year is rupees 60 lakhs. The aggregate turnover of the Chennai unit in the previous financial year is rupees 90 lakhs. So the aggregate turnover of both the recipients of credit is rupees 150 lakhs. For the home appliances company to distribute the credit of rupees 90,000 to its units in Mysore and Chennai, the formula to be applied is turnover of the recipient of credit in the previous financial year divided by aggregate turnover of all the recipients in the previous financial year into amount of credit to be distributed. So for the Mysore unit, the turnover of the recipient of credit is rupees 60 lakhs divided by the total aggregate turnover of all the recipients in the previous financial year, which is rupees 150 lakhs, into the total amount of credit to be distributed, which is rupees 90,000. So the amount of credit to be distributed to Mysore unit is rupees 36,000. Similarly, for the Chennai unit, turnover of the recipient of credit in the previous financial year is rupees 90 lakhs divided by the total aggregate turnover of all the recipients in the previous financial year, which is rupees 150 lakhs, into the total amount of credit to be distributed, which is rupees 90,000. So the amount of credit to be distributed to Chennai unit is rupees 54,000. Now, let us see the returns pertaining to an input service distributor. First is Form GSTR 6A, which is a monthly return made available to all input service distributors containing the details of inward supplies. This is auto-filled based on Form GSTR 1 filed by suppliers. Form GSTR 6 is the monthly return to be filed by input service distributors by 13th of the succeeding month. It contains the details of the input service distributed. To learn more on GST, you can visit our blog blogs.tallysolutions.com. You can also download our app Tally for GST from the Play Store. Thank you.